Coming up.
And at Customs, they have they call it the porn room. And I got banned like several times so they can watch all the porn as a little gift.
So, Bruce, we have one final question.
Ooh.
Do you want a lap dance? You know what time it is. Welcome to the champagne room.
Let's see who's in the champagne room tonight. It's Bruce LaBruce!
Bruce LaBruce is a Canadian filmmaker, artist, photographer, and queer icon based in Toronto. He's notable for being a pioneer of the queercore punk rock movement. His films include Raspberry Reich, the Misandrists, and most recently, The Visitor. Welcome to the champagne room, Bruce.
Welcome,
Yay.
Bruce LaBruce.
Yay!
Oh, thanks for having me in the champagne room.
Of course, so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
So, have you ever been to a strip club?
That doesn't know. Or yes.
That's an easy one. Yeah, I've been to many strip clubs in my life. Yeah.
What's your favorite strip club that you've been to?
Well, I mean, there's like titty bars, and then there's the gay kind of strip bar. I mean, there's all different kinds, but I think Montreal has the best male strip bars, for sure. I mean, there used to be 5 that I used to go to. Some of them are still there. Like Campus and is still there, where all the muscle guys go. And then there was Adonis, which is more like hip hop kind of guys, and of course the famous Taboo, which is like for young, like twinkie strippers. And that when I started going there back in the day, they used to have like stuffed Garfields and stuff on the stage. Like they were really leaning into the younger.
Yeah, the taboo nature of it all.
And they actually got closed down several times, I think, for underage strippers. And so,
Something for everyone.
Yeah.
But in Toronto, I used to live with strippers, like in the 90s. So I was sort of, and they danced at all over the place. They danced at the Rail, they danced at the Zanzibar, they danced at the House of Lancaster, they danced at, one of them danced at Jilly's even, one of them, for yours only, they were all over the place. And I used to go to Zanzibar, for example, and I was the only male they'd let go backstage, and I'd go backstage and hang out with them, watch all the fights between the English Canadian strippers and the French Canadian strippers. They would always get into a fight in the dressing room.
I love thinking about the 90s and like the strip scene in the 90s, especially because I feel like we don't have as many like male strip clubs in Toronto now.
Yeah, but is there there's like some in the village?
There's like Hawk Bar.
Oh,
There's Cock Bar, which is kind of, it's not as good as when it was at Flash, I have to say.
Exactly, yeah.
So, there used to be 2. There used to be Remington's, which was amazing, which was is legendary. It was down on Yonge below Dundas. And it had the upstairs and the downstairs. For example, I saw a Luca Magnotta strip at Remington's.
That must have been hot.
Yeah. And, kind of.
Yeah.
And my friend Nina Arsenault, who I'm sure you know, actually dated him. And they met at Carla Homoko's trial.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What a way to meet.
That's a very niche Toronto experience.
Yeah.
I worked at Zelda's back in the day, and used to frequent there with Luca as well.
Want to see the full uncensored episode? Become a member today. Join our Patreon. Link in bio, baby.
I think it's so interesting how the pendulum of culture shifts back and forth to moments where we have seemingly a scene that has so much activity and so much sexual freedom to maybe now when we're in this really conservative moment. Mm-hmm. And I think especially as it pertains to art and culture right now, I feel like we're in this really conservative era with like these fascist tech oligarchs taking over a lot of culture. We see this through, Paramount's potential acquisition of Warner Brothers, giving Larry Ellison control of all our media outlets. I really wanted to hear from you, like your experience going through different periods in your career where we may have seen more environments that have been sexually free, and maybe now versus this moment, which is seemingly really conservative.
I don't know. I think it maybe goes underground, usually during the conservative moments. So, for example, in New York, I used to hang out, like, New York was my go-to place to just hang out all the time in the 90s, like starting in 85 until 9/11, when it wrecked the party,
Yeah.
So, and there's a crazy number of little gay bars in the East Village, probably like 7 of them or something, that just corner kind of bars, and they all had back rooms, dark rooms.
Yeah.
And it was quite there was like Wonder Bar and Frank's Bar and the Bar and later like the Boiler Room, but Tunnel Bar. There was like a number of them, and so it was just the idea of just going out. And then there was the Bijou, which was a sex club that was down near Beige on like Second Street and Second Avenue. So it was just when you just going out on any given night, you would just be hanging out at a corner bar, and then you'd have sex, and it was just like part of the evening, And that doesn't exist in New York anymore. Then later on was the Cock, but that was like more of a club, and it was like you go to a club expecting like to have sex going on. But Toronto's is kind of special because it always had the saunas, and they tried to shut them down in the early 90s and had the famous the raids, and but they kept going and they closed down the saunas in New York and San Francisco like during the AIDS epidemic, and they kept them open like all the way through the crisis in Toronto. So Toronto's been a little different. And then you had live sex right up until, I don't know what's going on now, but right up until 10 years ago, you had live sex at Mandy Goodhandy's and at Flash.
Yeah.
Really full-on kind of live sex acts. So you can't do that now, I don't think. But Toronto always had this loophole that was like a cabaret license that you could get that allowed you to get away with it. But when there's a conservative moment, it just goes underground, and everyone you have to dig a little deeper for it.
And I guess as an artist, when you're creating, even from the concept of like your pure creative flow, when you're deciding what projects do you want to work on, or when you're writing, or even like funding and financing and things of that nature, have you seen a difference in moments where we're seemingly more sexually free to moments like now?
Well, to put it in perspective, in Toronto, for example, in the early 90s, I had the Cops, the labs, both the film labs and where I got my movies, processed and everything, and did post, and also the photo labs would call the Cops when they saw like naked, like any genitalia or naked or hard-ons or whatever. It was like a law that they had to. So that I had to circumnavigate that and like talk the lab owners into giving me like the negatives because they wanted to destroy them, or have the police wanted them destroyed, and I would have to kind of talk them out of it and get the negatives back. And things have changed since then, but I was getting Super 8 developed, and quite often they wouldn't even look at the Super 8 when you developed it. But when I blew it up to 16 or was working on 16 millimeter, that's when I got into trouble. But I haven't made a movie in Toronto since '94, so I don't know what's going on now in terms of if they would allow like more like pornographic stuff to go through the labs. It's probably about the same. I think they would probably still freak out if you.
Yeah, what would happen like with the law when that happened? Like, did the cops do anything, or they just shut down the scene?
For me, it was a bit loosey goosey. So it was kind of weird because they the police told the lab owner that they wanted me to destroy the negative, or to cut the negative out of 3 scenes, which was nudity with violence, bondage and discipline, and sucking of toes. And and like a year later, there was sucking of toes on like Melrose Place or something.
Yeah,
You know, so
that's okay.
I mean, but I went back. I had a relationship with a lab owner, and I went back, and he said to me, "The cops want me to supervise you cutting these scenes out of the negative, which means they would be completely destroyed."
Yeah.
He said, "But I'm going to leave the negative here on the counter, and I have something I have to do in the back room, and you know, I don't know what's going to happen when I'm in the back room." So he was basically telling me, grab the negative and
Love that.
and escape. Yeah. So you know, good for him for that. You know, but I'm trying to remember with the photo lab. This happened to me with customs all the time too. I would have things that I would mail, like some of my films to show in other countries, and then when they get stopped at customs, or if I was traveling at the border, and it was always kind of like, and you know, at customs they have they call it the porn room, where they have,
No way.
yeah, with the stuff they confiscate, they have. I don't know if they still do that, but they probably do. They had Super 8 projectors, they had 16 millimeter projectors, they had, you know, Blu-ray players and all the stuff, so that they can watch the confiscated stuff.
Like censorship.
And they loved it.
Yeah, definitely.
And they always give those jobs, you know, to cops or people who are about to retire. So it's kind of like a little golden parachute for them, so they can watch all the porn as a little gift.
Like the physical censorship of physical media is so funny, especially now when we're like in this digital age.
Well,
but
so
censorship is happening in a completely different way.
I mean, it's Pandora's box. I mean, or it's like the genie has been let out of the bottle, and you can't put the genie back because, you know, and it's funny with parental controls and stuff, because kids now are so tech savvy that they can
like
get around anything.
Yeah. And I think it's more so like we've seen that like the cultural elites who are defining censorship laws are like the biggest perverts, not in like a fun, sexy way, but in a much more insidious way. And what's being suppressed is like gay content, queer content, and also any like political content, with Meta like banning accounts who post about Palestine as an example. Right. And the content that's getting funded and picked up through networks now is like to support like a very specific political message.
Yeah, and now you have shadow banning, which is which is
I've been shadow banned many times for like nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Like being in a bikini, like not on a beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they usually don't even tell you why you've been shadow banned, and so you can't even if you wanted to, you can't. You don't know how to like what not to post or what got you in trouble. I mean, it's so nebulous, and I find that. But today I find the worst kind of censorship, and I'm afraid I'm a victim of it, is self-censorship.
Yeah.
Because going on Instagram, and a lot of my work is very explicit and very political, and I got banned like several times, once for even a couple of months. I thought my account was gone forever. And, you know, then I started to, even unconsciously, being very careful about what I was posting. And that has an effect on you psychologically. You know?
It does.
Yeah.
It puts you it sets a
Become more
tone.
hyper like aware.
It sends that's what everyone does now. They send these kind of dog whistles or messages that you have to conform.
Totally. It's like we're all becoming the perfect self-monitoring subjects, right? When we're in this environment where we have like very few platforms to express ourselves and to actually reach people. Seemingly that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and I would rather, actually rather know who the enemy is, and to be able to like, if they try to censor you, then to, throw it in their face somehow and come back even stronger and make something, which is what my whole, filmmaking life has been about, is always taking something a step further, and if you get disapproval or like moral disapprobation, then just come back and push the envelope even further, but when you know who the enemy is, then you know where to direct it. But if it's just this kind of, if it's been ingrained in you, if you've been kind of trained to self-censor, then you're the enemy.
Yeah, you're in yourself. So what is taking it a step further and pushing the envelope look like for you right now?
Well, I mean, my last movie, The Visitor, which I'm wearing the shirt, was probably one of my most extreme movies. I mean, considering it wasn't even made for a porn company, it was made as more as an art film, and I really, it's a remake of Pasolini's T. Rima, but takes it kind of pornographizes it, and so I really, when I was shooting it, I was like just pushing further and further. What taboo can I break now, today?
Yeah.
We shot the sex scenes basically at Apolitical in London in the gallery, and so every day I would go down to the basement where the gallery space was, and I'd just like rub my hands together and say, okay, what can we do that goes further today than what we did yesterday? So it really plays on, the film is about a black refugee who comes to London and infiltrates a white bourgeois family and kind of fucks all the members of the family and the maid, and they undergo some kind of radical transformation, or spiritual or kind of psychological transformation. But I changed it from the original Pasolini by having the family be kind of a queer family. So the daughter is transmasculine, played by a transmasculine performer, and the maid is cross-dresser and whatnot. So I was kind of thinking about porn tropes and how porn fetishizes the outsider, the refugees, and how black refugees and people from other countries are kind of there's a paranoia about them being like sexually voracious, and they come here to rape everyone and lock up your daughters and all this stuff. So it's really a kind of projection of a sexual fantasy onto these. I mean, sometimes it happens, but I mean, it's more of a sexual projection onto these figures. So, and you see that a lot in porn. And also, incest is one of the top, probably the biggest sexual fetish in porn, right? So I introduced incest into the scenario of this with the family, and the visitor has sex with different members of the family together, and the son ends up fucking the father, and the father has sex with the transmasculine daughter, and so each scene I was trying to push it further and further. And then politically as well, like I used slogans from the British Labour Party and altered the slogans that flash on the screen. And one of their slogans was "Open Borders," and so I changed it to "Open Borders, Open Legs."
I love
example.
it.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's kind of, I'm being a brat, I'm kind of like sexualizing
Stirring the pot.
the whole affair, but people don't acknowledge that that's what's going on, like that these figures are kind of fetishized and sexualized out of a kind of weird fear and paranoia,
And I love pushing those images to the extreme is what then destabilizes the power structures that are dominating in the first place.
Yeah.
And you have to push at that extreme, especially when things like surveillance and power are so dominating right now. But speaking of, sexual media, especially in contrast to something like The Visitor in your work, have you seen Heated Rivalry?
I haven't seen the whole thing. I kind of got a little stuck at a certain point. I appreciate it. I was really kind of upset because I tried to make a movie in the 90s that I never got the financing for. It was called Come As You Are, and it was meant to be a mainstream movie set in the porn industry.
Yeah.
So I wrote it in the 90s, and I took all the famous porn stories of the time, like scandals that happened. So Joey Stefano, who ended up like throwing himself out of, or falling out of a window, and Savannah, who's a big female porn star who ended up, I think she blew her brains out, and sorry for the, for the
Dark porn.
yeah, and
We love that though.
and so I, but the story was that he started out as a hockey player.
Yeah.
The main character in Montreal, and he got injured, and so he goes to LA to become to get in the movie industry, but can't, and so he ends up in porn. And so
I love it. I actually,
So I
sounds like a
I want to
typical
see
I had
this
a gay
movie.
hockey player, like, and
Yeah, me
wrote
too.
in the '90s, and never got it made. You know.
Maybe we could revisit
Yeah.
this. 'Cause I feel like it's relevant now more than ever.
I think
Like, it sounds
keep
like a
on,
true
it sounds
story.
like it could make a
Sounds
good.
like our lives.
Like a hockey player in Montreal.
Yeah.
Trying to make it.
It could make a good series.
It's like interesting. Like Heated Rivalry is so celebrated for its like sexual representation, but I find it to be really sanitized and actually quite conservative.
You're not supposed to say that.
I know you're not supposed to say it.
That's
You're
what Jordan Firstman said, and he almost got
Oh,
canceled.
100%, which I think is like unfair.
Yeah.
Poor-
Well,
yeah.
then I heard something else which is hilarious, that a lot of the women, straight women, I think older straight women who fetishized the series and the gay sex are very proprietary about it, and they're mad when gays kind of try to stake claim to the kind of to the series and kind of claim it as theirs.
Oh,
you know?
100%. It's like these overarching things of a monogamy, like in the series, and then the completely like the sex scenes I find like sanitize everything interesting from gay sex, like the textures, the smells, like the things that make it gay sex are completely removed. But we're supposed to just accept whatever representation we get in this climate is basically why I think a lot of the dissent about it is not wanting to be talked
Yeah,
about.
I really have to watch the whole thing because I didn't understand what the implications were in terms of how they represent, the gay sex. I mean, are they presented as a kind of monogamous couple in a way?
Yeah,
or-
it's like a long here. Maybe I'll show you a short scene. I think it's maybe there's it's presented as kind of like a long time affair that that happens, and they only really are sleeping with each other over a period of 10 years, which is like so unrealistic. But it's like I'm not gonna lie, it's hot, and I think there's maybe more so like more like detail than you would usually see, but
Like, are they presented as boyfriends or
So
fuck buddies? Or
they're presented as two closeted hockey players who are fuck buddies over a really long period of time, basically monogamous over like a decade
Always hockey
period.
players.
Always hot, and then
I've heard-
they end up becoming boyfriends at the end. But I would
Oh, they do. Okay.
I would love to hear
After 10
No.
years, that's realistic.
I've heard
yeah.
real life
Yeah.
stories.
I would love to hear what Bruce LaBruce's Heated Rivalry would look like.
Well, I mean, there'd be like a lot of locker room, like, stuff going on, like orgies and things like that. I mean, but I don't know, like I'm really into, actually my early movies I'm really into like people who are not identified as gay, who are having sex. So it's less interesting, it's more interesting to me in a way when people aren't gay identified and are fucking each other and having homosexual sex, So I made a film about neo-Nazi skinheads who are fucking each other, but they hate gays.
Yeah.
Or I made one about extreme left-wing revolutionaries who are the leader of the gang makes them have sex with each other. The straight followers have sex with each other, even though they're straight, to prove their revolutionary commitment, because if they're willing to do that, then they're like going the extra mile, and that they're, So, I find that kind of more interesting, and of course it's not monogamous, and there's something really kinky about it because it's just they're kind of in denial about even that there is any kind of emotional attachment to each other, even though there clearly is. And I mean, the neo-Nazi skinheads, it's all about the kind of male bonding and kind of like intense, kind of masculine energy and stuff, where it's like a brotherhood, which I find, which would be more interesting in a hockey scenario, I think, where that kind of brotherhood tips over into a kind of group sexuality, you know.
Yeah, divorce
like
from...
a circle jerk before,
Circle jerk.
for morale, like, you know.
We love a circle jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that's more divorced from, you know, these like liberal representation politics or respectability politics of I'm gonna find my rival hockey player and get married and have like 2.5 kids.
Yeah. Or what about
Why is it always hockey players? Like, where does this come from? Besides,
they're probably the
most.
most macho in a way. I mean,
Yeah, the
they're-
culture.
because like football players are so like, and basketball players are really into fashion, and they have a lot of more crossover with like the fashion world and the movie business and everything. Hockey players just seem kind of macho, kind of a little more
More closet gay.
provincial.
Like, I've heard, even like a girl in my change room before, she's like, oh my god, my boyfriend was a hockey player and they're all fucking each other. Like, I feel like the stereotypes for a reason.
I was I was a puck bunny in high school.
But you know what would be cool is the American hockey team, the two brothers that were the leaders of the team.
Yeah.
Now, if they had sex with each other, that would be really
That
would
for the
be
record,
very
Bruce LaBruce's Heated Rivalry is the two brothers of the American hockey team fucking each other.
heated twincest rivalry. Yeah.
I love it. I think we need that. So I want to ask you. I'm gonna throw out a few words, and I'm gonna ask if you know what they mean. Looksmaxxing.
Oh, of course, clavicular.
Oh, clavicular. Okay, so you're well versed in the manosphere with clavicular.
Yeah, and I find it. The thing about those, I was thinking about those men, and they're kind of like, they're kind of, what's the word? Incel-ebrities.
Totally.
They're incel-ebrities, and their incelness. They're trying to, because they don't find themselves attractive and they can't get laid, so they're. So they try to make themselves like
what does that mean?
as attractive as possible, right?
Yeah.
But they seem so asexual. I mean, I don't
Totally.
mean asexual I mean non-sexual, I should say.
I think
They don't have a sexual vibe. They're still like, they still have the incel mentality, but they look like masculine or models or whatever. But even that, they're so manscaped that
Totally.
you know, with the plucked brows and they mask their bones.
Bone smashing.
Bone smashing. You know, it makes them look kind of porcelain and kind of like not particularly masculine. Like they seem too groomed. Metrosexual.
Yeah. It's like this move for self-optimization. I feel like this concept of the male loneliness epidemic where, you know, culture has failed straight white men specifically, and now we've moved from any sort of collectivism to just purely self-optimization when it comes to then your looks. But what I think what you hinted at, which is really interesting, is that it's becoming beautiful for the sake of it, or maximizing your looks just for the sake of it, thinking you'll receive general, you know,
I guess, but
reward.
it's like hyper narcissistic. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't even think they're trying to attract. Certainly not women. They might be able. There's something vaguely homoerotic about it, but not intentionally. I mean, because they're misogynists, so they don't really care about women, so they have to pay attention to each other, but they're not even really into each other because they're too narcissistic. So I don't know.
Clavicular's
It's a
interesting because,
clusterfuck.
like, Clavicular talks about he only wants sex to last a minute,
Right.
or you know he's basically impotent because he has like with the testosterone that he's using or taking meth to lean out at age 20. So you're right. It's not for women. It's not to have sex. I think it's more so like a result of like this fascist culture that we're in, where you're not trying to optimize yourself to fuck, like maybe culture was in the 80s. You're optimizing yourself for the sake of getting approval from other men or being this like perfect subject.
Well, and they're probably like really hungry bottoms too, because I mean, if they're doing math, you know, and they can't get. I heard rumors. Yeah, but they. Yeah, maybe they don't get that connection, that they seem like really messy, methy bottoms.
Totally. I think it's like they're the bottom. They're the bottom for the algorithm, or they're the bottom. It's like very submissive, right? I feel like I really think about like dom sub relationships and you know how like the looksmaxxers will indulge in self-harm and subjugate themselves for this like amorphous male power telling them what to look like.
Well, and the fact that, you know, their god is Andrew Tate or whatever, who's like also doesn't really have a sexual. He's not sexy in any way, and he seems
so
angry and he's actually hates women, and you know.
Yeah, like the cycle for
and
the
isn't
Andrew
interested.
Tate.
He's not interested in women. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Andrew Tate's like hate women because they don't want you because you're poor, but then get rich and then resent all the women for wanting you now because you're rich.
Like make it make sense.
So it doesn't. Yeah, but it's bullshit. But you know, I would say that he's probably, as Clavicular would call him, subhuman.
And they mean it as a compliment.
No, subhuman would be you're not Mog. Mog is you have the perfect like face ratios.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also you know, then it's getting into eugenics and all that kind of about symmetry, you know, and facial symmetry, which there have been studies that babies relate to facial symmetry or whatever. But I mean, everyone knows that people with kind of flaws are the most attractive people, and that, you know, and that perfection is boring. And
100%.
You know, so, and these guys are also young too, and they're going to wake up in 5 or 10 years doing their meth, and they're, you know, they're
Not look like that.
and they're not going to be looking like that.
It's very much like what the Instagram face was for women, in that it's a look that you can monetize. It's a look that you achieve from purchasing particular products to get your face in a certain way. It's a look that will make you pause when you're scrolling through the algorithm. And it's also one that defies any racial or global lines. It's something that can be completely exploited culturally, right?
They're all white, though. I mean,
yeah, though I think if you have enough like contour and like skin lightening cream, like you can, you know, with a bright filter, you can have this like homogenized global face.
Well, yeah, but they themselves are the Looksmaxxers are all white.
The Looksmaxxers are neo-Nazis.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. And I mean, you know, all the platforms that are giving them oxygen should be, you know, it's horrible. I mean, you know, GQ and him walking in New York fashion shows, it's really appalling, really. But you know, it's post-human, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean that's why the Kardashians are so Kylie and whatever the other one are so popular, because they're post-human. I mean, there's no emotions there. You never see them expressing any emotions. Mm-hmm. They're like, kind of like female Looksmaxxers, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're being frame-mogged by Bruce LaBruce in the Stripper News Champagne Room. Well, yeah, I mean, let's have some fun. I'd love to hear.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about your stripper days.
Right. Well, there used to be a male stripper bar, Colby's 2, which was like in the, you know, all the gay bars used to be on Yonge Street, not on Church Street, and this was just off Yonge Street. And one of the stripper friends I lived with, we lived where Soy Bomb was, you know, that space at Bathurst in Richmond. So I was making a movie called Super 8.5, which had 2 stripper characters in it, and both of the actors that I had who were friends of mine, one I was living with, were both strippers in real life, and they were playing strippers in the movie.
Oh, perfect.
In fact, two of them, there was another one who was a stripper that was in the movie as well. So I would need, people to put in the movie. So we would go stripper hunting, basically, to see if we could, find people to be in the movie, right? So Kate, I shouldn't say her name.
Beep that.
It's okay. I won't say her last name. We went to Colby's and we both were drinking a little bit, and we ended up picking up this really hot mixed race stripper, and we took him back to the space, and I'm totally gay. I'm like Kinsey 8. Like on the scale, it ends at 6 and I'm 8, so, don't have sex with women and never really have. But we ended up after shooting him, we ended up in bed together, and he was straight, but he was stripping at a gay club. And she, in the middle, so after we were having sex, she fell asleep and he and I finished together, even though he was straight, but he was like halfway there, so I guess why not?
Yeah.
No. Man, bye.
Yeah, whoever. I guess technically, yeah. But that was just that whole period of time. I mean, they were dancing at all the clubs, and getting back to Remington's. I mean, it used to be almost primarily gay. It was only later on when the business was suffering when they turned the downstairs for women and the upstairs for men. And then it became the bachelorette parties and everything downstairs. But upstairs was, the late great Will Monroe, the Toronto artist and party promoter. He had I think bi-weekly or monthly club at Remington's called Mustache, where and they had performances. They had amateur stripping, so they had professional strippers mixed with people from the audience who would get up and just strip without any
Like
experience.
amateur night kind of vibe.
Yeah, and do pole dancing and kind of like.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was just super fun. That's the whole point. I mean, that's why pole dancer became an international phenomenon where it became like a form of exercise, like Pilates or something,
It's an Olympic sport now. It is considered one. Not actually in the Olympics, obviously.
It should
not
be.
Yet.
It should
Not
be.
yet.
Stripper Olympics.
Oh well.
I think that we need a
we can have that arranged.
stripper Olympics for sure.
Oh.
Any favorite strippers over the years?
Besides Luca, he wasn't that great actually.
Yeah, that's a frightening thing to witness.
Yeah. Well, in Montreal, I mean, okay, at campus, which is where the big muscle guys go. I mean, this was maybe. I've been spending a lot of time in Montreal in the past, like 13, 14 years. That's where I've been making most of my movies. So, at least but in the last 7 or 8 years, I would go there, and there was this. There was a 7-foot stripper there.
Wow.
7 foot tall.
Climb that like a tree.
And he had size 18 feet.
Jesus.
He was like a monster. But then, disappointingly, he had like an average dick. And so.
Bottom.
But he had even like an average dick for an average person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
on that body, it
looked
looked like a
small.
micro penis.
Oh man.
So, well,
Poor guy.
anyway, he won't know who I'm talking about because there's so many 7-foot strippers.
Yeah.
Up there. And
Micro penises.
I'm not gonna go.
it didn't look like a micro penis, but it was a bit disappointing. And there was another guy he was kind of a muscle guy, was Latino, and he would let me go into you pay by the song, and he would. You know that, right?
Yeah, we know that. I was gonna say we know.
And he would let me pretty much like do whatever I wanted, just like for the normal kind of like, buy the song. So,
A favorite client, I see.
yeah, like I could like, suck his dick and just for the price of just the normal song, So, and
What was the price at that time?
It was only like it was only 8 years ago or something. It was like $20. $25. I mean, but he obviously did.
We just have remained stagnant.
But I think,
but nothing else does.
but the thing is, you talk to the guys and you develop a rapport with them,
Like,
and I only talk to the ones that are sweet and that are really genuine, talk to you genuinely, and that it rarely happens. But I mean, he obviously was just kind of, I don't know, maybe he was a pity thing or something, but it was very memorable. And another one at one of the other strip clubs I was on, when I arrived, I was flying on K. And, and I'd come from a party and I was flying on K, and I went into this, what's the other strip bar between, besides, anyway, I can't remember. It's more like college jock types.
Okay.
And there was this guy who actually recognized me. He knew my work. He was a university film student, and he recognized me, and he liked my films and stuff. And he took me into the back, and it was probably the most cosmic, orgasmic experience I've ever had in a public space.
Oh, wow.
I mean, because I was so high, and usually I don't get that horny on K, but I mean, I was like just with this big muscular guy, like, who was basically giving me access.
Sounds like I'm the Hoopy.
To his body, and I was flying. I was just like, it was a total ecstatic kind of experience. So those things happen sometimes.
No, those are good moments. It's like the best clients are sweet, and the best strippers are fans of yours.
Yes, absolutely. Same applies with hustlers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went through many periods of. I started hiring hustlers when I was in my 20s, because I wanted to have sex with like a muscle guy, and I didn't have access, so I just hired one, and then in Berlin for many, many years, I was making a lot of movies there. I would be hiring hustlers off Gay Romeo all the time, but I would, it's the same thing. You get to, some of them would come up in conversation that they knew who I was, and so they were interested in kind of just hanging out, and of course it's all about the speed in Berlin, but yeah, I met really a lot of really sweet kind of open kind of guys, but it's kind of like a John fantasy that the hustler's into.
So then are muscle guys your type?
No, just one. I'm pretty democratic. Democratic. But I do like them, but I go for other kinds as well.
You like the whole spectrum of experience, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I like lean hard bodies as well.
Yeah. I think that's like that when we were talking about like before we got into Heated Rivalry, and you were talking about The Visitor, and like almost like destabilizing the audience by like showing extremes and like the brattiness, as you described it, of your work and pushing it. I guess, what is that like what?
Well, it started out for me with my film Hustler White, which was made in 1996, and it has a lot of fetishes in it. So there's a scene where we actually used a lot of real hustlers. And there was a famous hustler in Los Angeles who had, who was an amputee, who had a stump, below the knee. And it was just the perfect phallic object, right? So he was known as a hustler for fucking guys with a stump. And so we put it in the movie, and he played a character, and then he stump fucked somebody in the movie. So that was my first kind of taste of, in a way, not my first. I mean, even in my very first film, my boyfriend plays a skinhead, and he pierces his own nipple on screen, and that was, one of my first tastes of it, like really being shocking, even though it had been done before. I mean, Robert Mapplethorpe made a film called Robert Mapplethorpe Gets His Nipple Pierced, you know. So, but then and then I was having sex in my own movies in the early 90s.
Sick.
Yeah. So then with Super 8.5, the one with the strippers, I got fucked for the first time on screen, and so it kind of like I got a taste for being like pushing buttons and kind of being having no boundaries and pushing things. So then with after Hustler White, I made Skinflick, which was the neo-Nazi porn film, and I had a scene where a neo-Nazi skinhead jerks off and comes onto a copy of Mein Kampf, right?
That's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. And I mean, the film is obviously a critique of some kind of neo-Nazis and fascism, but you know, it's kind of like the perfect metaphor for that kind of weird slavish devotion and kind of the homoeroticism of fascism and
Totally.
Yeah, and that was extremely controversial. And in fact, when I showed that film at the Metro, the former porn theater in Toronto, not only did the police come, but the B'nai B'rith Society came and wanted to press charges like hate crime or whatever charges, and so it was adjudicated by the police, and they sat through the whole film, and because there's also there's a gang rape in the film where 6 or 7 neo-Nazi skinheads rape a black character while his white boyfriend watches, and the police sat through it, and we asked them at the end of the programmer asked them at the end of the screening what they thought, and they said, "We're not pressing charges." And the programmer said, did you like it? Did you enjoy it? And the cop goes, "It had its moments."
He liked it.
So I mean, I guess we just got the right cops. I don't know. So you know, I just kept going, and I made LA Zombie, which is a Gorn, which is a gore porn.
I love LA Zombie.
Yeah.
I think LA Zombie was the first movie of yours that that came onto my radar, because I was also a huge Francois Saget fan.
Right.
And I think that was an incredible film.
Right, about a alien zombie who goes around LA and finds dead bodies and fucks them back to life. So that one also, but then weirdly, I mean, it was programmed and it premiered in competition at the Locarno Film Festival. So, you know, it's all about context. It's about, for me, it's art. I mean, I argue lately that all porn is art on a certain level. Stripping is an art, you know. But if you have something to say and a style and a kind of intention behind the movie, then people are going to accept it no matter how extreme it is.
Mm-hmm. And what are some what do you hope for audiences now, especially audiences who may not have access to your work or works like this so easily, and we're in a culture where we have to seek it out more intentionally? What do you hope for the audience of the future?
I think we live in the most exciting time. I mean, you know, I'm old enough that I remember, you know, that even in the recent past, like in the early 90s or the 90s, we had access to nothing. I mean, you know, it was pre-internet. We'd have to go to local, you know, DVD stores, cassette or DVD stores to rent whatever we could find, and you know, it was just kind of like by chance that you would run across something extremely subversive and interesting, And now, I mean, we're still, I think it's going to clamp down. I think the internet is not going to be free for much longer. You know, unfortunately. And I think we're just at the end of the beginning of the end, the heyday of just having all unfettered access to to everything. You know, you can find whatever you want. I mean, you can watch whatever you want without having to pay for it. I mean, it's insane. I mean, whatever movie I want to watch, you can find it. I mean, so I mean, fuck all these platforms and you know, people who think they need like Hulu and Disney Plus and HBO Plus, blah blah blah. Why? It's all there. You just find it.
You want it if you can find it.
So just put on your VPN and go crazy. You know? So I mean, I hope now I'm probably going to be arrested, but but that's not going to last forever. I don't think, unfortunately. So for me, it's like you know, when the internet started, it was like the Wild West. It was like the super democratic kind of space. And I think it still is. I'm afraid that darker days are
days are upon us. Yeah, I think maybe going offline and creating like communities in person.
Yeah,
That's the other thing. When I made, that's where we start. That's where I started.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, JD's my queercore fanzine, queer punk fanzine. We were told it was pre-internet. It was pre-digital. We were shooting on film, and we made our, you know, we did everything by mail. But now the mail system is disappearing, unfortunately. But we
I just want tickets to hold.
Yeah, 100%.
But we just made everything ourselves. It was total do-it-yourself. It was totally. There was no grid. It was underground. I mean. It was true underground, you know, because it was you really had to seek it out and find the places where we had these screenings all over Toronto and in other cities that were, you know, that were just advertised in the back of the local newspapers and alternative press and like you said, it was completely community based, and there wasn't algorithms, and there wasn't censorship, and there wasn't, you know, all these prohibitions.
I mean, it's reassuring to hear from you, especially in this moment where I think there's a lot of anxiety when it comes to content, anxiety about the future, anxiety for artists, to hear that as like a pioneer of the underground. Like it can happen, it could thrive, it could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just have to go underground. Yeah, bring it back.
I think we probably won't have you guys probably won't have a choice.
There we go. But no, we'll just use use the example that you set. You know.
But look at what you guys are doing at the strip bar on Bloor.
Yeah. Strangers.
You know, that's in the spirit of what we used to do. I mean, it's kind of almost word of mouth. I mean, it's, you know, it's a community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's artists who like you then get a chance to express themselves in ways that are like sexually free, that wouldn't necessarily occur otherwise. You know, and people get to like feel the excitement of that when they're in the room with us.
Yeah.
So, Bruce, we have one final question.
Ooh.
Do you want a lap dance?
No.
Want to see the full uncensored episode? Become a member today. Join our Patreon. Link in bio, baby.
Thanks so much, Bruce LaBruce, for visiting us in the Champagne Room. So good to have you.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Bruce.
And if you want to re-up your time, let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and become a member today to keep these girls happy. See you next time on The Champagne Room.